Welcome to the Secret Sauce of Outsourcing podcast that's dedicated to making you better at working with OFS, online Filipino specialists. This is episode 141, the typical Filipino breakfast. I struggle with food. Not that I struggle with eating food or I struggle with weight or something like that. I eat ridiculous amounts of food and I can eat basically whatever I want as long as it's within my diet. And the reason is because I struggle with dairy. I don't do well with it at all. And then I have struggled with early onset dementia, and I found that not eating any sugar at all and makes it significantly better. And then eating grains makes my brain kind of go crazy. And so I eat a very restricted diet. And it's gotten really easy for me over the years to do this. Most people would imagine you don't eat any grains, no bread, no oats, no quinoa, no rice, and you don't eat any dairy, no milk, no cream, no cheese. What do you eat, right? Well, I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat fruit. I eat some meat, try and keep that low. But so this was really interesting. Breakfast or food in Europe, while I was there with my family for a month, there was no option to not eat grains or dairy. It wasn't possible. And so I had to eat them. And you know what I found? I had zero effect from it. Where if I eat dairy, pretty quickly it causes my eyes to go crazy. And then if I eat it consistently over time, I get a sore in my nose, and then it starts to kill my digestive system. I get so much pain. And I had it every single meal for a month, and I had zero consequences from it. Same thing with grains. I ate bread every meal and I had no effect from it. The food in Europe is just different. I don't understand why. I have some ideas, but man, that was really an amazing experience to be able to eat that. I had pizza 4 times a week because I love it, and I was able to eat it and have no consequences like here in the US. So let's talk about food in the Philippines, at least breakfast. So the typical Filipino breakfast. Here's what Julia, one of my OFS, wrote about it. When people talk about the typical Filipino breakfast, 2 things usually come to mind: the pandesal and the Cylog. I don't actually know if I'm pronouncing those things correctly, but I'm trying. So, what is a pandesal? The pandesal, salt bread, is a small piece of bread around the size of a dinner roll, heavily loaded with breadcrumbs. It's toasted, slightly salty and crispy on the outside, and soft and sweet on the inside. Here's a picture of it so that you get an idea of what it is. To me, it looks pretty much like a normal dinner roll. Julia continues, every baker in the Philippines makes and sells pandesal. This type of bread is such a big part of our culture that people would wake up early and line up for a bag of warm, freshly baked pandesal for breakfast. Even the Philippine government goes out of its way to protect the pandesal. Whenever the price of wheat or sugar fluctuates, the government would be right on it right away because nobody wants to lose their beloved morning pandesal. And if you're the type of person who sleeps in, well, tough luck. Bakeries always run out by mid-morning. But if you're willing to wait, you can try early in the afternoon when bakeries make another batch for snacks. You can eat pandesal on its own or use it as a sandwich bread and fill it up with whatever you like. My favorite is scrambled eggs. My husband likes liver spread or Spanish sardines. Dunking your pandesal in coffee is also a common practice. Julia continues, the small size of pandesal makes it ideal for an afternoon snack, hence the afternoon batch. You know it's afternoon pandesal when people dunk their bread in Coke instead of coffee. I promise, it's a thing here in the Philippines, but I don't get it either. That's what Julia says. If you want a heavy breakfast, another Filipino breakfast classic is the Cylog. It's not just one dish. It's more like a family of dishes. The Cy in Cylog stands for sinangag, fried rice in Filipino, and the log stands for itlog, or egg in Filipino. When a dish has protein, usually fried, garlic fried rice, and an egg, usually sunny side up, that dish becomes a Cylog. So when you have a fried hot dog, garlic fried rice, and egg, you get a hot Cylog. My favorite is the spam Cylog, which to me is pretty funny. Julia says her favorite is the spam Cylog. Hopefully you get a picture of it here in this video, if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, sorry. If you want a classic Cylog, go for tap Cylog. Tap is short for tapa or cured beef jerky. Unlike American jerky though, tapa is not preserved and needs to be kept in the freezer and thawed before cooking. If you want to sell breakfast in the Philippines, you've got to have the Cylog and the pandesal. Even McDonald's has them here. Julia says, when we're in McDonald's, my husband usually orders the longanisa, Philippine sausage that comes in many variations. In McDonald's is a skinless sweet sausage, and yes, our McDonald's makes fried rice. My favorite one is pictured below. It's a pain de sal with a cheese omelet. We do have McMuffins, but I prefer their pain de sal meals because they're lighter and less greasy. Like the rest of the world, McDonald's here refuses to serve these breakfast items after 11 a.m. So good. I remember being in Brazil when I was on a mission for my church. I spent 2 years in Brazil, and I remember going to McDonald's the first time and finding, whoa, McDonald's is different. Like they serve rice and beans here. I had no idea that McDonald's would ever serve anything other than a Big Mac or a double cheeseburger. And yet they do. So thank you to Julia so much for helping with this episode. What she wrote is so good. I love the breakfast variations. So talk to you later.